Hello peeps, Deadbug Davies back again, and I am still in the same place that I have been at sunsetting. This is the fourth time I've been here now. I have reviewed 3 bikes today, videos hopefully coming up soon. First is, I don't know what order they're going to be posted, but I've done the Moto Guzzi 85 TT, I've done the Kawasaki H2 SX SE Plus, and I done the Aprilia RSV4 Factory. They will all be coming up. But today, right now, I am doing my KTM Superduke GT. This is really for a couple of lads that commented on my other video saying they'd like a direct comparison between the Super Adventure S and the GT. I think there is an issue that people think because it's got the same engine, the bike's going to be very similar, and because it's got semi-active suspension, the bike's going to be very similar. They're very, very different. I ride the Super Adventure S on comfort setting, and I've been riding this on the comfort setting, and there's a huge difference. This has very, very stiff suspension compared to the S, the Super Adventure, and I'm sure the other one has a lot more travel than this. So. And the brakes on this, these are M50s. That's an M50. The one on the Super Adventure S, not an M50. So there is a big difference. The engine on this feels a bit more lively. I think the mapping is a bit more sporty. This is definitely more of a sports tourer than I would say that the Super Adventure S is more, as it says, is like a super adventure bike. So I'm just going to go through what I've got on it. At the moment, I've only just got this bike back, so I got the Bodis decap and the servo eliminator. I've got an SP Engineering exhaust. That was the first in the world to be made. It was kind of like a bit of a first. Hadn't made one for this bike, so it was kind of a test. So this was the research and development can. As you can see, there's plenty of room between the can and the pannier. There's been no issues with them. They've been fine. It's kind of hard what to say about this bike. I think the looks are, along with many other bikes, are kind of subjective to what you actually think, because I think this is a lot better looking than the new one. This looks a bit more purposeful. I think the light on the new one is a better light, but I don't like the way that it transitions between light and screen. I think that kind of looks like one unit, whereas the other one, it kind of looks bodged together. I don't really like it as much. But I know that the actual light itself, doing its job as a light, is really good. I know that the LED one on the Super Adventure is absolutely cracking. Better than this one, without a doubt. So it depends what you want. If you're bothered by the looks, then just see it as. The new one's probably, well, depends if you like it or not. But if you don't like it, it's going to have a better light. It's got a TFT dash. So yeah, it's probably a better bike. These were 16.2, 16.3, I think, when they came out. The new one is just a little bit more expensive, so it's not thousands of pounds difference. So it's worth it. But yeah, I really like these bikes. Big old rear end on it. Compared to the Super Adventure, the tyres wide. It's like sports bike, and this is pretty much what this is. It is a sport bike, where sports bike performance with panniers on. I think the rear light's very nice. They're kind of like LED strips. You can't see them obviously. I quite like the look of the rear end. I can't remember the amount of fuel that goes in the tank, but I get around, similar to the Super Adventure, I get around 40, 45, 50 miles per gallon. Obviously, one difference that this has as well is compared to the Super Adventure, is the single-sided swing arm. I really do like the look of the rear wheel on this. Beautiful rear wheel, just like the Super Duke. I haven't actually got a socket that would actually even take that off if I ever need to remove the rear wheel. To me, I think it's a beautiful bike. I really like this bike, and I never really liked KTM's before, but it's kind of one of those things that's grown on me. But it's more performance based in my mind. I was kind of umming and ahhing about it, but I got this for an absolute steal around Christmas, not the year just gone, the year before, and I just couldn't refuse it. You know, I got £5 off pretty much, so it was kind of a bit of a no-brainer. So I got this for like just under 11 grand, so brand spanking new, no-brainer. How can you complain about that? Anyway, the dash. Some people prefer this dash. Let's talk about the seating position. Actually, the seating position is very nice. It is very comfy. I'm not on tiptoes. I'm kind of on the balls of my feet, on both feet. This is quite a high seat. It's definitely higher than the Kawasaki SX. It's kind of more along the lines of what the actual height of the Aprilia was. Some things on these are really ugly, like this switch gear. It's ugly. And one thing the new one has, of course, apart from the TFT dash and different light, the cruise control is now actually on the left-hand side, like it is on my Super Adventure. Here, everything is on the side, on the right-hand side, which is a bit shit. So you have to click that button in, and when it's in, that's the cruise control on, and then it's just set and reset on there. And also, you can, you know, once it's set, you can up and down the speed on them. So the dash-wise, I don't know if you'll be able to see it. I don't know where the camera's aiming, but you know, it's everything on the right hand side, like speed, time, fuel. You've got your semi-active suspension settings. At the moment I've got one person with panniers. You can obviously do what single person, no pannier, single person with pillion, no panniers, and you can do single person, pillion and panniers. So you can set it up differently, but it's not like the Kawasaki where you actually feel it adjusting. It just stiffens up. Anyway, so on the left hand side you have multiple things. So if you press up and down, it goes, say, favourites, then you've got trip 1, and then it tells you like your fuel range, and it tells you how far I've gone, all that sort of stuff. You can change all of these as well, general information in the air temperature, oil temperature, battery, all that sort of stuff, tyre pressures. And then you can set your favourites. You've got 5 on this that you can set as your favourites. On the other one, your favourites, let me turn this off a sec. So on my Super Adventure S, you have 8 favourites and then 2 preferences set to the up and down. This one's different. So you have 5 favourites, but nothing gets set to the up and down. As you can see, the up and down just goes through all the settings. But this actually has more settings in that respect, because once you've got these 5, so at the moment I've got like traction control, I've got the heating, I've got the ODO, I've got the drive mode and damping, and then all you do is press set, and then it goes across to the ones that you want, and then you just go up and down. So say you do traction control, you can do like, and then it comes up with traction control, ABS mode. Then say you go into heating, and then it will give you grips and heated seat, which I've got, and then you can you know, have them off, low, medium, high. ODO, obviously, that's just then goes into general information, which is what you can do with up and down. And then you've got drive modes, you can just go into them and you can change that. And then you then go into dampening, and you can just go into change that, whichever one you want. So in theory, when you've got 5 of your favourites set up on this bike, you have 5 adjustable settings which you can adjust on the fly. On the Super Adventure S, you only have 2 that you can adjust on the fly. You can adjust everything else, but you kind of have to go into the bones of the system and then change them. On these ones, it's a little bit easier. So if you set it up like I did, as I said, with the traction control, when you start the bike up and you warm it, you could just press traction control, press the set button, sorry, go to traction control, turn it off, do whatever you want with your ABS. It's a lot easier. So both of the systems have good and bad points. I still prefer the TFT dash, in my opinion, because my eyes are very sensitive to bright lights and stuff, so I think they just pick up the TFT better. It's a bit of a weird one, because this feels very... It does feel more of a sports bike when you're riding this. It actually feels like, not like it's heavier than the Super Adventure, but it feels a lot more taut. It's a lot more sports bike-ish. and I'm sure that it's a lighter bike, but it does feel heavy just because it's more front based and it's more heavy to turn. You know, it's different. If you ever actually ridden a sports bike, they kind of feel, when they're turning, they feel slightly heavy because you don't have the wide bars, so you have to use your, you know, counter steer them and use your body and stuff a bit more. So this bike is a bit more of an involving ride than the Super Adventure. Between the two, it would be really hard to choose because the Super Adventure is so comfortable. This is comfortable, but Super Adventure is on another level. But anyway, I'm going to get back out on the road. I'm going to do some riding on it and just talk about things as I'm riding around. I'm not sure exactly what you two guys on Facebook wanted me to talk about, or if you actually thought I had the new GT. I know the new GT has updates, as in like the dash and the light. I believe the engine has a couple of more brake horsepower up the top, but the actual bare bones of the bike is pretty much the same, so there's not going to be a massive difference. So I'm really just making this video just for those couple of guys on YouTube that wanted to know the difference between this and the Super Adventure. And I think it's important at times to sometimes, you know, just to actually make a video for people that actually ask you a question. And then, you know, if someone asks it and then someone else says, actually, I'm interested in that too, then it shows that there's a bit of a market for it. So at the moment, I'm going to sign out. Might as well do my, I'm not going to sign out just yet. I'm going to show you what's under the back seat. This is enough to actually have your toolkit in. And then you have the like the evaporation chamber thing there. Ktm Toolkits is actually, you get a hell of a lot of stuff. You get all bloody pliers and sockets and everything. And you even get, look at that, you even get a bottle opener. A KTM bottle opener. There's a spanner on the other end. Oh cool, very thoughtful. I'm pretty sure that the actual quality of the tools is a bit shit, probably. But believe me, when you've actually earned, I'm not going to mention any names of any makes or anything like that, but some of the Japanese tools look like it cost a couple of quid, to be honest. Anyway, I'm going to get back on my bike. I'll make some videos when I'm out and about, so I'll catch you in a sec. Right, so now back on the road. I'm trying to think exactly what to say now, what's going to be interesting to them, because pretty much this is a, you know, it's a couple of years old now, so reviews of this bike have been done and dusted, so certain things are good, certain things are bad. Obviously the bad things are like the traction control, which is on the right hand side, which is shit, so you can kind of reach over to with your left hand and do it, and then that's with it set on with that button I told you about, and then you just set or reset with those buttons. But it's alright if you're comfortable riding one-handed, but if you're not, yeah, not good. Same as the screen, you can adjust it one hand, just grab the top, push it away from you, lift it up, pull it back towards you, and that's just slots in. I think there's 6 or 7 slots, so it could be one of those, it's fine. So you can't do that on the Super Adventure because the Super Adventure is twisty. You can do it, but it's not as easy as that. But that, to me, you know, this is an expensive bike if you buy it full price. It's, you know, 16 grand it was. You would have hoped that it would have actually been a little bit more thought out than that. I know it works, but yeah. Anyway. Got to go a bit careful on this because it's got new tyres on it. Yeah, look, I'll show you the cruise control. So left hand, press that one in, and then set it, and then the light goes green, goes from amber to green, and then you just press up and down to change your speed. and it shows you set speed, so you have your actual speed at the top there, don't know if you can see it, and then just below it, just above where your suspension setting is, it's gone now. If I go down on that, it will come up 49, see? Press it again, go up to 50, and then after a while that disappears. And then it's the same as every other cruise control, you either touch the front or rear brake or just touch the clutch. I certainly couldn't do as many miles on this as I can or could on my adventure. I could certainly do a few, I could certainly do a fair few. The bike's certainly not uncomfortable, but it's certainly not as comfortable as the Super Adventure. As you can probably tell, this bike is pretty noisy with the Bodis D-Cat and the SP Engineering can. Makes a lovely noise, it's very noisy, but it's not too noisy. It's not like as loud as my H2, but yeah, it's a different sound range. It's not like an inline 4 screamer, so it's not the same. This bike, when before I was knocked off of it, I had a real love affair with this bike. I used to just come home from work and then go out and ride it for like 100 miles. I got 2,000 miles nearly on it in the space of like a month. I just wanted to ride it all the time. I was coming out riding it in the middle of the night, and every Friday night after work I would go and spend the rest of the night pretty much out, and then come back about midnight, 1 o'clock after having a nice ride on it. Anyway, back to the fundamentals. Mirrors on this, like the mirrors on the Super Adventure, are very good, same as this. They don't seem to vibrate as much, but these seem like in a better position. The Super Adventure ones, the left hand one is at a different angle, like away from you. It's like this part of the actual arm of the mirror, the one on the right is at a further away from you angle than the one on the left. Don't ask me why, but you can't actually adjust it because they're actually, well, you can adjust it, but they're to do with, same as these, to do with the brake and clutch. This one you can just undo it and then, you know, angle them down, angle them up, but on that one you can't do it so easily because the hand guards. Just turn up my cruise control quick. And the hand guards kind of make it, you know, once you're there and you push it down, like the cables from the switch gear and everything, like all of that, all get in the way and hit the hand guard. So you kind of either have to undo the hand guard and then lay them down so they're not then actually really covering you on the hand guard front, or roll the handlebars forward. I haven't done either, I'm just kind of getting used to it now. Right, I'm so happy to have this bike back though. I love this bike. Absolutely love it. That's not to say I don't love my Super Adventure though, because I really love that bike too. Love them both. Both amazing bikes. One thing I might as well discuss while I'm on this, when I was knocked off of this, I actually had 4 bikes. I had a Kawasaki H2, I had this, I had a Husqvarna 701 and an MT10. When I was knocked off of this, I had nothing, once my arm had healed, I had nothing really to ride to work, apart from the MT10 and the Husky, of course. The MT10 just wasn't great on fuel. This does a good, you know, 40, 45 to a gallon. The MT10 was lucky to reach 30, so as a commuter, it was a bit of a pain in the arse. And then it got to the point I was riding the Husqvarna every day, and my arm hadn't completely, or sorry, my shoulder hadn't completely healed. So every day I had to have a backpack on, and it was painful just riding to work. Riding like less than 10 miles to work was painful. It was hard to do. So I decided to sell my Husqvarna 701 and I sold my MT10, and I got myself a Super Adventure S, and I haven't looked back. The bike is amazing. Anyway, while I'm here doing 30 in 5th, these bikes do not like it. You know, they get really chuggy, really chuggy. It's just the nature of a big V-twin. They can do it, but they don't like it much. Same as the Super Adventure. It can do it, but it feels really vibey. You can tell that the engine is okay, but it's just not the best bit pleased. It's very fine going 30 mile an hour at 4 in 4th. I've seen other people riding these, I'm not mentioning any names, but you know, they'll say they're chugging along at 30 mile an hour in 3rd and the bike's not complaining. I've never seen any bike that will complain doing 30 mile an hour in 3rd gear. Never seen one, ever. So the fact that you're talking about a 1300cc V-twin not complaining at 30 mile an hour in 3rd is a bit fucking ridiculous, but whatever. So yeah, the points that they both have, actually, both of these bikes, like this and the Super Adventure, is they are very actually like wind protected around your body and your legs. The Super Adventure, obviously the screen is in a different position, so you end up, you're definitely a lot more protected from air blasts. This one, even though the screen is in the highest position, I can feel the wind hitting me right about my chest area. I can feel it on my jacket, kind of like shoulder area right across my chest. So it's not like a bad place to be hit by the air, but it's certainly not like it cocoons you and you're protected much. But I'm quite tall, and it's kind of, it is a sit-up bike, so yeah, you're going to get hit by the air. It's not the same as a Super Adventure. See, like that bump back there, if I was on my Super Adventure, I would have hardly felt that bump, and if I was on comfort, which I am on comfort mode on this, the Super Adventure would have just lapped that up. This is definitely a little bit more taut. This is made for a little bit more sport touring, with the emphasis on the sport side. One thing I also have noticed is, I forgot to mention, sorry, not noticed, is the cornering LED lights. On the Super Adventure S, it has them in the headlight, which makes them very neat. And this one has them down the side in these side fairings, and they're kind of integrated with the indicators. And you obviously can't see them at the moment, but take my word for it, they actually work really well. So when you're kind of turning into a corner, and you know your headlight kind of has like a flat line, and when you tip it in, you kind of lose the curve, lose the line of, say, if you're going around a left-hander, you kind of lose this because it gets cut off. With these cornering LED lights, it lights that area up in the like 3 stages. Sorry. At first, I thought it was a complete fad. I thought, well, the idea makes great sense, but I can't see how it's going to make that much of a difference. But then I tried them on this, and I'll tell you what, it made great sense. It made a huge difference. They're very, very good. Don't know what the hell I keep coughing for. So it's very nice to get my bike back. I've been missing this bike for nearly a year now. If you don't know the issues, I was knocked off whilst filtering on the way to work. The bike took nearly a year to fix, and damage costs were not far off £10,000 apparently. Little things on this, like the body panels and stuff, cost so much money. The plastic bit that goes around the tank is like 1,300 quid plus VAT. It's nuts, absolutely nuts. How you could charge that for a bit of plastic is mad. But that's what it is. It's kind of hard to choose though, because obviously I want to be informative for the guys that actually want to know the differences between this and the Super Adventure. And as a person who owns them both, I can obviously tell the differences. But the one thing I want to say is, obviously, if you're thinking about these bikes, both are quite expensive. This is more expensive than the Super Adventure. But the Super Adventure is not a cheap bike. So if you are seriously considering buying one, then obviously the main thing you need to do is test ride both. Because believe me, they are not similar. Just because they have the same engine, they both have semi-active suspension, they've both got Brembo brakes, believe me, they're completely different. Why is it that in a 30 that people have to sit right on your arse? Why is that? Why do fucking people do that? It does my nutting. You know, everyone thinks because you're on a bike that you should speed through like 30-mile-an-hour limits. They all do it. And it always seems to be people that live in the area. They sit right up your arse expecting you to go along because they know there's no speed cameras around or anything like that. Well, you know what? I ain't fucking going to do it. I ain't going to speed up to your thing. And what a surprise. It looks like a... I don't know if it's a BMW driver, but it looks like one. I don't know. Fucking arseholes. Fucking dick. Alright, back to the bike. Yeah, see, like that little bit back there on a Super Adventure, I'll just bounce across that. So there's a big difference in the bikes. So test ride them. The pair of you that actually were interested, test ride them both, 100%. Would I be able to choose between one or the other? Not easily. I would be able to if I... Oh, I hate that bump there. If I... You know, if I was doing more... If you were coming from straight from a sports bike, but you wanted something you can commute on and have panniers on, you'd probably go for this. Because it is definitely more sports bike than Tourer. But yeah, if you wanted something that you could still go quick on, but was like excessively comfortable, very tall, then you'd probably go Adventure S. You know, there's a big difference between the two. Just riding position itself is hugely different, but that's not enough. You know, it's not like the two bikes, that's the only difference, it's just riding position. It's not like that. There's a big difference. I have, as I said, put like the decat on this and all of that, but I haven't actually tuned it. It's still kind of bone stock, so it still runs quite well, so I'm not really too bothered. I never really got round to it. I was going to get it the ECU flashed, but I never got round to it. Never got round to it. Right, I'm going to sign off for a sec, and then I'll be back in a bit. Bye. Alright, I'm back again. I'm just going to pull up down one of these side roads down here. I normally come down here, at times I've come down here when the sun's setting and thought of things. I didn't even see that horse there, sorry. And yeah, sometimes just come down here, sit in this little area, watch the sunset, chill out. Very bumpy roads here, so the older comfort setting comes in handy here. Still bouncy and hard though. So anyway, going back to the bikes between the two, could I choose? Probably not. I do love them both, and they are both very different. For the style riding that I do, it's very hard to choose. I would probably edge towards the Super Adventure,
just because I think I'd be more happy to just sit on that and ride, say, to Wales and take it to the TT. I would do on this, but this is a little bit less comfortable, so it's a little bit more sporty. But of course, then when the going gets a bit tougher, this would probably be more fun on the faster roads. So, yeah. Let's go and have a look up here. Oh, Jesus. Oh, these are bad roads. Yeah, so between the two, I don't think I could choose. I think it's going to come down to personal preferences, what you actually prefer look-wise. You could probably get a good deal on one of these ones that I've got, because obviously the new GT is out, so you'll probably get a few grand off the old model, even though it's not actually that different. You know, if the TFT dash, let's pull in here, if the TFT dash and can't remember what the new one's got now, oh, and the new headlight, if them sort of things don't bother you, then I'm not sure it'd actually be worth the extra. You know, you could get a good deal on one of these, then you're probably gonna, you ain't gonna be disappointed anyway. So anyway, I don't know if you can hear the exhaust. It's loud, you know. So yeah. Anyway. Bloody hell, I hear them dogs. Don't know if you can hear that, but Christ, that sounds like hundreds of them over there. Must be farm dogs. Anyway, beautiful area. I'm going to sit here, I'm going to get a drink out, I'm going to chill out, have a rest and rest my legs. It's been a long day, a lot of riding today. So, from wherever I am now, I don't know, but I quite like it here. And my KTM superduke GT and Deadbug Davy. I'm going to wish you all a very happy weekend. I'll probably be posting this video in the week anyway, so the weekend probably don't matter. But yeah, hope you're all well. Once again, before I go, thanks very much for all my subscribers and my new subscribers. I've had a few more. It's kind of hard to actually keep up. I'm still not exactly big time or anything, but I'm still sticking to my guns, and what I do is what I do. I'm not aiming to get millions of subscribers. I'm just going to get what I get, and that's what I care about. I don't really care about numbers. I'm not that way inclined to actually sit there wanting all these things on social media or whatever. It's not really care. It doesn't really float my boat. So once again, thanks very much. Thanks for your continued support. This is nothing to do with On Your Bike, but thank you very much to all the lads and lasses over On Your Bike for letting me ride the Kawasaki H2SX SE Plus today. The Motor Guzzi 85 TT. I was quite surprised by that, I have to be honest. The video will be coming up, so if you're interested in a bike like that, watch my video. I was quite surprised. I thought it was going to be a heap and a tractor of a bike, but it was actually quite fun. And also I rode the Aprilia RSV4 Factory. That thing, it's not for me, it's way too small, but that thing is a weapon. That thing is a scalpel. That is an absolute beast of a bike. Anyway, thank you very much. I'm signing out. Thank you very much for all your support, and thank you for the recent subscribes. Deadbug Davy is out. Laters.